Hi, I'm Joe Jacobson at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show in the build-up to a bumper Easter fixture. There might be some puns to come in the next hour. Or maybe not. We'll be having our match debrief with Phil in a few moments' time. We'll also be catching up with a bit of a preview for you for this week's edition of Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. And yes, as you guessed it, there will be a question about duck-sized bears and bear-sized ducks and the best approach. This might be a thing that's sort of set up, maybe the end of the season. Perhaps we'll just get like in a sort of it's a knockout type thing. So some Wycombe Wanderers players, some bears and some ducks, and just see what happens. Also coming up, we'll hear from the manager, Matt Bloomfield, of course, as we look ahead to the Good Friday visit to his former club and prepare for the visit of Forest Green on Monday as well. We'll hear from the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association Chairman Alan Hutchinson as he prepares to celebrate his 80th birthday, picking his all-time Wanderers 11. We'll catch up with Chante Inniss as well, the Wycombe Wanderers Women striker who's been at the club for around a decade. And nope, I think that's it. All that to come in the next hour, but we kick off with the words of Danny Sender summarising for us at Adams Park on Saturday for that draw with MK Dons, and a real kind of mixed emotions, I guess, at the end of the game.
Another 2 points drop today, Dan, in their pursuit of the top six.
Listen, they started the half exactly how you would have hoped to, with the goal going 2-1 up, and you like to think there that you'd go on and take the game away from MK, but then it started it drifted into that bitty, lacking momentum, couldn't find that urgency that was required to go and get that next goal, and then MK were able to capitalise, and it gets to 2-2, and then it swings, and MK are the ones that are in the ascendancy. Then real shame. It's going to be difficult, I believe, now to go and chase down that playoff pack, and that's not to say that we go away from it and give up. That's not in Matty's makeup, that's not in the makeup of the players on the pitch, but it's going to be a big challenge, because these are the type of games that you really must win and pick up 3 points.
Well, Dan, it's been a joy to have you up in the commentary box today, calling the action on this one. Full-time score then at Adams Park. Wycombe Wanderers 2, MK Dons 2.
Danny Sender alongside Phil Catchpole at the Bill Turnbull Gantry on Saturday afternoon, and I'm very pleased to say we can get the thoughts of Phil looking back at that game, and of course ahead to what's to come over the Easter break.
Well, we're 1 point closer than we were to the top six than before kick-off, so you could say we've narrowed the gap, but I have to say, scoring twice at home and not beating a team like MK Dons in terms of their form of the whole season was a disappointing result, really, and because of the nature of the goals that we conceded. And they were soft goals. The early goal was preventable. Great response from Wycombe to come from behind and take the lead with a David Wheeler brace. But the equaliser to go back to 2-2 was poor, and again preventable, probably more so than the first one. So yeah, that's the bit that I found disappointing the most, really, because that really should have been 3 points, and then we wouldn't be looking at a 2 point gap. We'd be outside on goal difference. Big difference with only 7 games to go. So yeah, but obviously a point is better than none. But yeah, it's just the home game. You'd expect to win that. You'd want to win that, and yeah, that's where the disappointment came from it, really. But encouragement though with the goals again, and another decent performance. Although I think at 2-2 we looked a little panicked and a bit bereft of ideas moving forwards. But I think Danny Sender made an excellent point on the commentary, our co-coms on the day, was that there will be a transition period between the managers. Of course there will be. And he thought that some Wycombe players may be referred to type a little bit in terms of the style of play under Gareth to where we are with Matt Bloomfield, and when the pressure was on in that last bit, when it was a condensed tight game, and maybe the fans getting a bit anxious as well, that they started to go long again a bit more often than they have been under Matt. But yeah, I mean, that will come with time as well. But yeah, I think, 2 points outside with 7 games to go. Let's take the positives here. That's a really exciting position to be in as we go into the Easter weekend. But yeah, it was good to chat to Matt Bloomfield after the game as well, and you could probably hear the fact that he was disappointed in just a point too.
I think there's a mixture of some pleasing bits, to go 1-0 down and then show the character and some of the play that we produced to get our noses in front. I thought we passed the ball really well at times. We carried a goal threat. I was really pleased with the composure we showed in those middle areas to build our attacks at times. So really pleased to get 2-1 up, and then obviously slightly disappointed with the manner we gave the second goal away. I thought we give away in the middle of the park, then we see off the danger, and then another kind of scrappy little spell, and the ball's in the back of our net. So I think that's probably the way the game sort of played itself out, and we have to be pleased with some of the bits and take them away and build on them, but make sure we tighten up in other areas.
Injuries hitting the squad as well at 2-2, and Jem Campbell cramping up. Not a huge amount of attacking options on the bench.
No, it's the situation we're in. GMAC and Vokesy missing, and Jordan Obita as well, who can do a left wing back role if we wanted to switch formation. So limits your options slightly. We're really respectful of the young lads who are trying to make their way in the game. We're we've got young boys on the bench. We've got Tjay making his fourth start, I believe, today, and Chem, maybe a couple ahead of that. So these boys are inexperienced and they're going to cramp up at times, and it's obviously a big ask for them to keep going game after game. So that's the situation we're in. There's no problem with that. We're really pleased with the goal threat we carried for the majority of the game today, and I thought Chem did really well in spells, TJ too. So we had to kind of have a little bit of a shake up and bring Jason McCarthy on in that right midfield role, and Jace is obviously a big player for this football club. He carries that personality and that drive. So I'm sure Chem will be fine to be ready for next week.
It was an electric first half, a really absorbing first half. It flew by. First 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, MK Dons on the front foot, and then things changed, the momentum changed. What were the changes that were made from the bench?
I think it was just about trying to calm us down a little bit. I thought that they really started on the front foot, and we didn't quite get our shape right in terms of when we pressed and where to press, and the balance off the ball. So we had to just try and fix that slightly. And I thought when we did, it gave us a real foothold to then get hold of the ball and pass it around. We felt really, a lot more secure in our shape, and it just gave us that little foothold to get hold of the game and grab it a little bit and get our attacking players in. I think then Chem came alive a little bit, sort of 10-15 minutes in. Suddenly he came alive, and we were able to get TJ on the ball as well, and Wingy and Joshy were able to kind of dictate play from the middle of the park, which is what we were looking to do. I think we just kind of got caught on the hop a little bit there in the first 10 minutes. I thought MK started, really lively, coming off the back of the good results they did. They obviously were full of confidence. We weathered that bit, and then obviously disappointed to concede. And then we got ourselves back in the game and eventually got ourselves in front.
David Wheeler against his former club again. He's been there before, done it again, but 2 goals today and a good performance. Yeah,
I thought Dave was great. We know the qualities he carries, from a psychological side in terms of his selflessness for the team, his physical qualities and his real team ethic. And Dave carries that goal threat. I think he always has, at Exeter and in the time that he's been here, he's always, found a goal. And I think he was great today, Dave, and I'm really, really pleased with the work he did.
2 points outside the playoffs with 7 to go. So looking forwards, it's a great position to be in, but a massive game on Friday against a club that you know fairly well.
Of course, yeah, a game close to home for me, and a club we know well. But that it all needs to go to one side. It's just a game for us. We've got 7 to go. We're 2 outside the playoffs, and we're excited about what the next 7 games could possibly bring for us. We have to prepare ourselves. Recovery starts right now. Preparation for Friday starts right now. It's obviously going to be a really busy spell of games, and we need to make sure we're ready. And I'm really excited by the next seven games. Really proud and to be in this position of where we are. We want to make sure we take this opportunity and keep grabbing it.
And news from the physio room, 2 games coming up in the space of 4 days over Easter weekend. Any news on returning players?
Well, we've got Gapey and Curtis Thompson have been back out on the grass. GMAC and Vokesy are working hard as well, and they're not far away. We're looking forward to them. Jordan Obita as well, working hard in the gym. Obviously, we know we're a few players down at the minute on a thin squad, but yeah, we hope to work on them back as soon as possible. But we have to be really mindful of the fact that the boys that we've got a real good squad of players, and we're really proud of the effort they're putting in at the minute, and we have to keep working on that, and we welcome those boys back when they're ready.
Really good points, obviously, from the manager, and I guess, as you say, hopefully what will turn out to be a really good point going into this Easter period as well. And we heard from David Wheeler before the game as well, and seemed really fitting that he got the 2 goals against his former club again.
Yeah, it often makes you wonder about that MK Dons fan who had that David Wheeler tequila tattoo when he was on loan at MK Dons and scored the goal that got them into League One. And then I think a few months later, David Wheeler scored the winner against MK Dons in a 3-2 win at the start of that season. And then he scored 2 more yesterday. I've often wondered whatever happened to that tattoo of that guy. But yeah, it often goes that way, doesn't it, when you score against your former clubs. But he's had a really good season, David Wheeler, not just in the goal scoring sense, but in performance sense as well. And without Sam Vokes up top, his aerial threat is really vital to how we play, I think, at times as well. And yeah, really important couple of goals for him, and a bit of confidence going into the weekend as well, because another couple of David Wheeler goals against Ipswich would be nice. He likes a goal against Ipswich as well. So if he can repeat the trick at Portman Road on Good Friday, then we'll all be very, very happy. But, we spoke to him before the game, and because he scored twice in the game, we spoke to him after the game as well. And always good to chat to Wheels.
This part of the season, we're desperate for wins. We need to keep winning and keep putting the pressure on those teams in the playoffs and climb up in there at some point. It definitely feels like 2 points drop for us. I think we would back ourselves to see those games out. Very frustrated in the manner that we conceded it, and I think we brought some unnecessary pressure on ourselves. I think for large spells of the game we were the better team, and very threatening from set pieces. But we're closer to our target than what we were before the game, so you've got to sort of take it with a pinch of salt as well.
The positive angle of looking at this is 7 games to go, 2 points outside the playoffs now, and there's a bit of a bunch developing. Wycombe have the know-how from last season. Is that going to play its part now between now and May?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very, very tough ask. But if you look at the way our season's gone, we've constantly seemed to have been clobbered with injuries and disruption throughout the season, and we're still hanging in there. We're still thereabouts, and we've got big players to come back as well, which hopefully we'll see before the end. But I do believe that we've got the squad to do it. We've got to believe that, and I think the performances generally are there. It's just we need to be a bit more clinical in both boxes.
Well, you got your 2 goals today, 5th and 6th of the season. So from a personal point of view, are you happy with that return so far?
Yeah, I'm pleased. Yeah, it's my highest return since I've been at Wycombe, which is definitely a positive for me. And obviously looking to add to that from now until the end of the season. Yeah, it's always fun scoring goals. It's always what I do, what I love to do, and I want to keep scoring more.
On to Friday, Ipswich Town in great form. Portman Road's a big ground to go to as well, but it'll be very Wycombe to go there and win.
Yeah, I mean, when we got promoted, we went there and got a draw, and we were top of the league. And I think we're well capable of getting a result there. It's just I personally think it will be our toughest test of the season. I think of the teams we've played, I think Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich are the best teams we've played, and I think Ipswich are probably the best footballing team we've played. So it's going to be a really tough test. And yeah, I think we've got to see it as a challenge rather than something to fear.
Always good to hear from David Wheeler, who does speak so well. And obviously before last week's game, we had the news that Joe Jacobson will be with the club next season. And there's been some other excellent contract news as well this week.
Yeah, the first one was Josh Gowen. I think really, really well received by the fans. And it went out with the news of the season ticket prices as well, which are now available to buy from wwfc.com. And yeah, brilliant for Josh Gowen to be there next season. He was last season's Player of the Year. He swept all the awards. He's been magnificent again this season. And we've really, really realised how great he is, because there's been periods where we've been without him through injury as well. And absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. And yeah, when he's not there, we really do miss him. But yeah, fantastic news that he's going to be wearing the quarters next season. And then hot on the heels of that news was Jack Grimmer and David Wheeler signing for next season as well. To go along with Joe Jacobson's announcement at the sponsors dinner last week too, that he's also around. So yeah, things are looking good for next season. I like the way the club get the business done early. And, it's been really lovely to see the positive reactions online. And I have remembered some of the stuff I've read this week online saying, this is like a new signing, having Josh Gowen. So I'll be interested to see if those same people are then in 4 months' time saying, why haven't we made any new signings in the summer like they did last year? Yeah, Josh Gowen, great signing. And as are the others, Grimmer and Wheeler as well, been really good, and good to see their good form rewarded with a contract for next season too. So yeah, good signs.
No, definitely. And all of those have had really good seasons, especially this season, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think it's not just on the pitch as well. I think the likes of Jack Grimmer and David Wheeler have been some of the senior players, or now the senior players, that have stepped up into some of that space left by Akinfenwa and Stockdale in terms of their leadership off the pitch, their characters that shape the squad and the younger players as well. And I think really important that, again, alongside Joe Jacobson, Josh Scowen, not quite so vocal, but, in terms of his style of play and his attitude to the game, these are the new breed of generals, the new leaders at Wycombe Wanderers, and it's great to have them there.
So lots to look forward to over this Easter weekend, of course. We've got a home game on Monday, but a Good Friday trip to Ipswich, which obviously, you only have to look at the table, how few games that they've lost, but also obviously the connection with the manager as well.
Yeah, but an emotional one for Matt Bloomfield, definitely, and probably more so for his family, because I think the gaffer has said that, he's got to strip all the emotion out of this and just concentrate on getting something out of this game for Wycombe Wanderers. But yeah, 7 straight victories for Ipswich, 8 clean sheets on the bounce as well. And I've done a couple of bits of media for the Ipswich press this week, and they've all been saying, "Oh, are you scared?" And obviously, yeah, a daunting record, but you have to then spin that round and think, well, these records have to come to an end at some point. There's not many teams that can go sort of 8 wins or 9 games without conceding a goal, or 8 games consecutive wins. So you have to take hope and think, well, the run has to come to an end, and who better to make that come to an end than Wycombe Wanderers? We beat them at Adams Park in December, against the odds, and it kind of preempted a little bit of a wobble for them as well. They made huge changes in January, lots of comings and goings in January. They're not shy when it comes to spending money in the transfer windows. And they had a bit of a wobble. They lost a bit of momentum, but they've got it together again now, and their run is fantastic. And they've put themselves in a really, really good position to get automatic promotion, when a lot of the pundits were saying, 4 or 5 weeks ago that wasn't going to be possible now. So a bit like last Saturday's game against MK Dons, they really want the 3 points as well as we do. They want to go up. We want to get into the top 6. Someone's got to give. But yeah, it's 2 games over a period of 4 days. I think from a Wycombe point of view, I don't think the Friday result defines the season. I think if we can get something from Ipswich and back that up with a win at home against Forest Green, which I think is a must-win game because of where Forest Green are, and then we look at Morecambe and Cambridge again, teams down the bottom end who are fighting. We can maybe start to put a run together. The manager's spoken about how the performances are there, and they've not been clinical enough at times, but they're creating and they're playing well, and he feels that the results will come. I agree with him, and but where we are at this stage of the season, it needs to happen quickly. So fingers crossed over the weekend we can start that run. But yeah, Ipswich Town, Portman Road, it's going to be packed. That's going to be a great atmosphere. They're going to be looking to avenge that 1-0 defeat to us in December. And it's a high-stakes game. This is exactly what we're in it for, This is much better than being sat in mid-table thinking about next season already. So, this is what we live for. Fingers crossed it's a good game and we make a good account of ourselves.
Absolutely. And I remember the previous manager saying, it felt special to lead his team out against a former club. And obviously he had quite a few former clubs. When the current manager, his only former club is the one that we're facing, that must be extra special.
Yeah, he was so proud to make his one appearance for his boyhood team, Ipswich Town. But, he's played against them. He's even been in the dugout against them as well, because I think Gareth Ainsworth had a positive COVID test when we were there once, over Christmas, I think once, Matt and Richard Dobson took the team that day. So he's got experience of it, weirdly, but obviously now it's his job, cut and dry, which makes it slightly more official and a bit different. But yeah, he's always going to, love walking out of Portman Road. We'll see. Another great day for his family. And I really, really hope a great day for Matt Bloomfield, because if he's had a great day, that means that Wycombe have won, and then we've all had a good day.
And as you say, it'd be really interesting to see where we are in terms of points after these 2 games.
Yeah, exactly that, because there's been some stuttering at the top of the table and in the top 6 as well. It's all there to play for now. These are the games now. I think the Forest Green game on the Monday is a real key game for us in the running. And obviously when things are mathematically possible, anything is possible then, and you keep going. But I think a decent win on Monday can really set us up for the running. And I really hope we go into that game on Monday really high as a kite, having shocked the football world on Friday by bringing Ipswich Town to a crushing halt in their run as well.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to have you on, as always. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the games and happy Easter.
And to you too, Colin. Happy Easter.
And don't forget you can hear those chats with the manager Matt Bloomfield and David Wheeler in full on Wanderers TV.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers show, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield looking ahead to the Easter fixtures. We'll hear from Wycombe Wanderers Women striker Chante Inniss, and we'll preview Knowing Me, Knowing Blues with Tjay Barr. Find out, among other things, what he likes to do away from football. I don't know why that's funny. But first, if you're a regular listener to the show, you'll know that we have a very close connection to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. I'm very pleased to say we can chat to their chairman, Alan Hutchinson, who next week will be celebrating his 80th birthday. And to commemorate the occasion, he's picked for us his all-time Wanderers 11. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and happy birthday for next week. You don't sound as old as 80. Are you there, sir?
Hello, sorry, I didn't realise you finished. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm here.
You don't sound as old as 80. Are you sure you're as old as that?
Well, I know, it's remarkable, really. Every time I see people in the village, they say, "Cool, I haven't seen you for ages. How old are you now?" So I'm nearly 8. What? Well, I mean, I said, well, I might not look like it. I said, but I certainly feel like it.
And obviously been connected with the club for such a long time, and it must feel like, every decade that goes past, there's so many players that stand out.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely there are. But tonight I'm going to go through a team that I worked with very closely when I had the honour of working with Martin O'Neill. Somebody I got on very well with, and we're still in touch now to this day. And it was just a fantastic time with lots of terrific memories. And I thought, well, this is what I've got to do, is go back to the memories and hinch them all with the team.
So let's start with the goalkeeper.
Martin Taylor. Now, he didn't play when Martin was around, because he arrived when John Gregory was the manager. But I've gone for Martin because he was exceptional, absolutely exceptional. He played for Southend United regularly and then received a serious injury in a match that looked as if he would never play again. But he managed to recover, but not enough to play at that level that Southend were in at the time. And so John decided to sign him because they knew each other when they were players. And so we signed him, and he arrived at Wycombe in the late 90s and played right through to the early 2000s. But my goodness me, he was a superb goalkeeper. And I thought, well, I can't leave him out. He's got to be the number one.
And goalkeepers are often renowned for having great characters as well.
And that's right. He was terrific with the rest of the team. If he wanted to speak to the back line, he would. He'd say, if you're going to do this, I shall say that. If you're going to do something else, I'll say that. If I'm coming out, you just do as I say. And it worked really well because everybody knew what was happening, you see. And it was good.
And not many goalkeepers have scored goals either.
No, that's right. They haven't. That's absolutely right. Yeah, but all that aside, he was just a terrific fella and a very, very good keeper. So
you've gone for 3 defenders in your formation?
Yeah, I've gone for 3. And again, this is the O'Neill era, really, because the 2 of them, there's Jason Cousins at right back and Terry Evans in the centre, played together at Brentford. And there's a nice little story here because Martin had already signed Terry Evans. He hadn't joined the club, and he wasn't going to join the club for a few weeks because he'd had a serious injury, recovered okay, but couldn't get back in the team. And he wasn't very happy about the way things were going. And Martin found out about that, so he made an offer for him. So Brentford said, yeah, okay, you can have him. And then one day, out of the blue, he said to me, Hutch, he said, do you fancy coming to Brentford with me today? So I said, yeah. He said, only I've just discovered there's a reserve game on. And it's going on this afternoon about 2 o'clock. And it was about Tuesday. It was on a Tuesday, I think. And he said, I thought we'd go along, he said, because the big fella's going to play. So I said, he said, yeah, Terry Evans. I said, right, okay. So along we went. And he'd been going 20 minutes, and I said to him, Martin, like the right back, he looks terrific to me. Yes, so do I, she said. Yes, so do I. Go and find out who he is. And so I left him watching the game, and I went off to speak to people behind the scenes at Brentford. They said, he's 18-year-old Jason Cousins. He hasn't been with us very long, but he looks as if he's going to be a real prospect. Anyway, once the game had finished, Martin went down to talk to the guys behind the scenes and, decided that he'd try and sign him. And a few weeks went by, and then finally Jason rang up to say, yes, I'd like to join. He said, because Big Terry tells me things are going to be good. He said, so I'd like to be with him again. So we signed Jason Cousins. And God, he was a terrific fullback. And because he played with Terry Evans, the big advantage was when we were really pressing hard, he could go down the front and he'd supply a great ball into the box, which the big fella would get on the end of and put it in the back of the net. Because that was the big advantage with Terry. 6'4", he was a terrific defender at the back, but he was also very dangerous in the opposition's goal mouth. Because once he put his head on the ball, it went like a rocket. And when he used to clear headers out of our own box, it went almost to the halfway line, which was quite ridiculous, really. But that's the kind of power he had. It was just terrific. And then I've got Glyn Creaser on the left-hand side, a superb defender, very good touch with the ball, passed it well, and again, liked a strong challenge. And so that was a super back three, really, for me. So that's the three I've gone for.
And you've gone for four in midfield. Was this the area that was perhaps the trickiest to nail down?
Well, yes, it was. But you see, they're all such good players. And what I did, I've got a player in there that was also a very good defender. So if we needed to go four at the back with this team, that was easy. It starts off with Dave Carroll on the right-hand side. What a player. He was great on the ball. He could pass really well. If the ball got in front of goal, bosh, it was in the back of the net. He could cross it. He was just an all-round super player. In the centre, Keith Ryan, a great talent. He played really well. He, again, was good in organising the back four, with telling them where they should go and what they should do when things were happening. And in that way, they could drop Brownie back at the back if he needed to. He'd drop into the back three, because he played at left back, or he could play in the left to centre. But in the midfield, he was also a very good player. And on the left-hand side, we had Steve Guppy, who was, again, an outstanding player. Really was quick, fantastic left foot. And again, the brilliance with him is that in the midfield, he was a powerhouse, because they were terrified every time the ball went to him, because they knew something was going to happen. So what would happen with the front three, the one who's playing on the right-hand side would drop inside, and Gups would just come down the left-hand side. So all of a sudden, you'd got four at the front, all people that could put the ball in the back of the net. So the thing works very, very well.
Is that the four?
Yeah, that's four. Dave Carroll.
Yep.
Keith Ryan.
Yep.
Steve Brown.
Oh, Steve Brown, yes.
Yeah, Steve Brown and Steve Guppy.
That's them. So we've got three up front as well. Again, must be quite tricky to to narrow down your three attackers.
Well, it is, because all of them could play at centre forward and put the ball in the net. But what I've done, I've got Mark West on the right wing, which he used to play at anyway at times. And again, he was really good at getting past attackers. He was good at playing the ball into the midfield and created space for him to receive it again, which would then go immediately into the box, or he would either run into the box with the ball. And that's when he was very dangerous, because no one knew whether he was going to shoot or pass it. And it caused all kinds of chaos. But no, terrific stuff. Oh, excuse me. And then on the left-hand side, I've got Simon Garner, who, again, superb player, absolutely superb. Played for Blackburn Rovers and won the old First Division Championship title with them. And he's some player he really was. And again, somebody who could move into the centre and scored any amount of goals for the club. Terrific. But the one person I've got as centre forward, which is quite interesting, because I've gone for somebody out of the era, that I've watched the games, but I didn't know many of the players, and I certainly didn't meet the manager. I knew him very well as a person, but of course I never got to work with him like I did with O'Neill, and that was Gareth Ainsworth, who's done a wonderful job in the 10 years he was there. And there's no doubt that they say that he's now the best manager the club have ever had, and I don't disagree with that. With Martin now, who was at number 1, is now number 2. But luckily, I was very close to Martin, and when we went away, I travelled on the team bus. I stayed overnight in the hotels, so I really got very close to everybody, and so I know all of these people very well. But what I've done is I've put Adebayo Akinfenwa at centre forward, because his ability in front of goal was absolutely outstanding. Whether he hit it with either foot, both feet, he could really kick well with both feet, or when the ball was put onto his head, I could often see 3 or 4, well, no, mainly 2 or 3 defenders trying to get all around him and keep him out, but he just knock them away. He just move them away, and when the ball come in, bump, he'd hit it, and that'd be a goal.
So is there anyone who's just missed out from your selection? We could have them as substitutes, perhaps?
Oh, I haven't got any substitutes, no.
No, but I just wondered if anyone had sort of just missed out on your team. Was there anyone that...
Nobody.
Oh, excellent. They were all first choice.
That's 11. I mean, you see, I've got back 3, 4 in midfield, and 3 up front.
Yes. But was there anybody who you could have put in and you had to sort of deliberate quite a lot over?
Well, yes. I mean, I suppose Keith Scott was somebody I could have put in, but I just preferred Simon Garner, maybe with his pace and his touch on the ball and everything that he could, his all-round ability. Yeah, you know, it's very, very difficult when you're doing something like this, because you do get a list of players and you have to go through them and look to see what you can do. But yeah, I mean, Keith Scott could have played up front, because that's what he used to do. He used to play up front. But I thought Akinfenwa was a bit special. He's somebody that I like very much.
No, absolutely. And as you mentioned, your relationship with the manager, Martin O'Neill, of course, someone who you very much enjoy working alongside. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, we didn't get on very well at first. It was quite unusual. He joined the club and I was trying to help him, but he thought, he had the opinion I was trying to run it, which I wasn't, but he, and we didn't get on too well. And suddenly his lovely wife, Geraldine, after a few weeks, came up to me and she said, I won't do it with the Irish accent, because but she says to me, Hutch, she said, just let him get on with it. Just let him get on with it. She said he likes to do things on his own, which is fine. But he said, suddenly something will happen and he needs your help. And he said he'll come to ask you and he'll come to want to speak to you about it. He said, you let him do all that. And once you do that, and if you do it well, he said he'll trust you. And then from then on, she said, you'll really well be able to work together really well. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened.
That's something that really stands out as well. Obviously, all these people, not just players and their footballing ability, but as people as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we had so many terrific people at the football club, people that I enjoyed working with. And, I mean, I'm still friends with a lot of them today. Whenever I go to the club and we have an event, like with the ex-players, for example, that really is great. All of our events are good. We have our Bowls Day. Well, we had our quiz recently. That was a great quiz night, which is run by John Maskell and Vince Faulkner. They run it, and it's absolutely superb, and it was wonderful. And everybody meets up, and they now, get to talk to each other. And players that never even played with each other are now good friends, because they both played for Wycombe Wanderers. So, they now become friends, and that's what's really good about the Ex-Players Association, is because there are so many now. We had well over 100 at one time, but we've now got, I think it's about 98, which is still not bad. We lost a few in COVID, obviously, people that passed away. But, and of course, very, very sadly, the other day, I couldn't believe it when I heard it, because he was a good friend. We lost Bobby Dell at the age of 64. Which was just dreadful, absolutely dreadful. But there you are, these things do happen. But it's so good that, people that didn't actually play together but are good mates. And, and they meet up there. We have the Bowls Day, which that goes on down in June at Chestnut Avenue, the Bowls Club at Chestnut Avenue, and that again is very, very successful. And then we have our Golf Day, well, normally at Winter Hill, but we can't hold it at Winter Hill this year because they're selling the club and it's closing down. So we've transferred to Maidenhead this year. So we're going to be having the Golf Day at Maidenhead. But again, it's a terrific event. And then, of course, the annual dinner, which is really, that's a real big one, which we hold in November. So those 4 major events keep the players together, and different players come to different events because not everybody likes bowls, not everybody likes quizzing and stuff like that. So we get all these different faces turning up, and there are a few that come to everything. But it's usually a different group for all the events we hold, and it's really great.
Well, it's been a real pleasure.
John Taylor does a fantastic job. He really does. I mean, what pleases me about the launch of the X-Players is when I came up with the idea and I did it, I'd got something in my mind that I learnt when I worked in Fleet Street many years ago, that Lord Northcliffe said to me. He used to own the Daily Mail back then, and I got in a lift with him and I hadn't got a clue who he was, not a clue. And he said, "Are you working here?" I said, "Yes, I am." So he said, "Oh, what are you doing?" So I told him, "Oh, yes, I see. How are you getting on with the people?" "Okay." He said, "Because I understand you're a bit different, aren't you? You're the lad from Buckinghamshire." I said, "Yes, that's right." How he knew that, I don't know. "Oh, well," he said, "all the locals, of course, all the Cockney boys." He said, "You don't mind working them?" I said, "No, not so whatsoever." He said, "The thing about life, he said, if you choose the right people and get the right people, it never goes wrong." And he just got out of the lift and went into his office. And I never, ever forgot that.
Oh, it's a fantastic story. Well, we must congratulate you on your birthday next week, and thank you so much for sharing your Wanderers 11 with us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Alan Hutchinson, who's the chairman of the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Oh, that was good, wasn't it? Final part of the Wycombe Wanderers show still to come. We'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield looking ahead to the Easter fixtures. We'll also give you a bit of a preview for Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. Aha! What was that? Still to come with Tjay Barr as well, as we find out what makes him tick. Among other things, you'll hear as to what he does away from football. It's interesting opportunity, isn't it, to get some mind's eye view on Wycombe Wanderers first team players. But first, we will continue to feature Wycombe Wanderers Women. The first team, their season has finished, and the reserves and under-18s are still continuing. But the first team players have some friendlies coming up in the next month or so, and we've taken the opportunity to speak to striker Chante Inniss.
I've been at Wycombe Wanderers Women's, must be coming up to about 10 years now. I first joined when my daughter was 1, and she'll be 10 this year. So, yeah, coming up to 10 years.
Because I guess as well, like, fans will probably recognise your name, and if they've watched you play for your goals as well, you must be very pleased with your scoring record.
Yeah, quite pleased with my scoring record. Last season, I got the Golden Boot.
What would you say has been the key to your success?
I'd say just being committed, and obviously loving football as well.
And you mentioned your daughter, she must be a great support to you, because I know that often in photos she's there and she's at your games as well.
Yeah, she's my number one supporter, my number one fan.
And you must notice as well, even in the 10 years, or perhaps even more recently, a real kind of increase in women's football generally, interest, but also fantastic to have, obviously the club in Wycombe and how that's progressed too.
Yeah, obviously women's football has come a long way with the Lionesses winning last year, and obviously with the progression of the women's team, I'll say we've come a long way as well. We get a few of the supporters from the men's team come down and watch us when we have a home game. Sometimes when we have an away game as well, they come down, travel and watch us play.
And how are you enjoying being based at Burnham and training twice a week as well?
Yeah, Burnham's really nice. It's nice facilities. Training twice a week is good because we was used to training once a week. Twice a week is, well, there's been progress. So yeah, I think it's working quite well.
What's that been like for you personally? Have you sort of taken to it quite well, or has it taken some adjustment?
Yeah, I've taken to it quite well actually, juggling it around work and obviously being a mum.
No, absolutely. It must be quite challenging to kind of combine all three.
Yeah, it is, but I get it done. Stay committed.
No, absolutely. You must be so proud of being able to kind of do that and what you do during the day as well.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely. I'm proud.
And what would you say sort of the impact that Carl and the coaching team has had on the team since they arrived?
I'd say they've had a quite big impact on the team. Obviously, we got to the semi-finals of the Cup, and obviously with the new facilities that we got at Burnham, new kit as well, more sponsors I'd say as well.
And what about the reserves and the under-18s as well? Do you get a lot of sort of them kind of asking you questions as well and kind of getting tips?
Yeah, we do get. I think some of the under-18s and reserves, they actually help us out in our own games as well sometimes. So we all help each other out and support one another.
And do you notice your own sort of personal development as well as the season goes on? And as you say, now that you're training twice a week as well?
Yeah, I've seen a progression in myself. Yeah, Carl brought in they're like these GPS pods. So we'll get like our stats pulled up on like a training night, and he'll discuss with us what all the stats mean and what we're good at. So yeah, it's been a great season.
So how would you assess overall how the season's gone? Because it's only obviously quite short because of the number of the amount of teams in the division. But has some of the opposition surprised you in a way, or there's been some brilliant moments, hasn't there, where you fought back from 4 goals down at sometimes?
Yeah, I think we've played a majority of the teams in our league the seasons before, but I think we've progressed a lot since last season and the seasons before.
Because I guess many of them have probably been quite surprised to see how different changes in your
different teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some of them are quite shocked.
And does it feel like for next season as well you'll be able to grow it and come back even stronger?
Yes, definitely, most definitely.
And what would you say have been some of the highlights of this season? Obviously, I imagine playing at Adams Park in the FA Cup, that was quite special.
Yeah, Adams Park was I think that was the best experience. Such a buzzing feeling to play at Adams Park.
And really nice as well that obviously, despite your league season being finished, that you're still, you've got friendlies still to come that are being organised for the next couple of months as well.
Yeah, and we're still training as well.
So what other things have sort of stood out for you this season? Has there been a particular game or a particular goal that you particularly remember?
I'd say, obviously, the Adams Park match was a performance. I'd say the game against Bournemouth Sports in the Cup.
And what would you say would be the main message you'd like to get across to fans sort of going into next season as well about Wycombe Wanderers Women who perhaps haven't been along to see you before?
I'd say to them, come along and support. That, it'll be good to see some more supporters next season.
What about for any young women or girls who are listening who'd like to, perhaps get involved as well?
I'd say go for it and enjoy it.
Because it was a great advert, obviously, that you've been with the club for 10 years as well.
Yeah, very long time.
Must be a very good place to be.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
Sometimes 10 years can go really quickly. Chante Inniss speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound and continued following of Wycombe Wanderers Women here on the Wycombe Wanderers show. Still to come, we'll chat to or hear from manager Matt Bloomfield. But first, a preview of this week's Know Me, Known Blues, which you can hear in full. Timing's everything, comedy. Which you can hear in full. When can I hear it?
Over the weekend.
Over the weekend.
Happy Easter.
With Tjay to Barr taking on Ducks and Bears, although perhaps not necessarily in this clip.
Tjay, nice to see you. Thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. All good.
Good. Have you seen Knowing Me, Knowing Blues before?
Yeah.
You have. Good. So you're already doing better than Taff then. So the fans have been sending in some questions for you. They're not all football related, okay? Some of them get quite weird. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah? Let's jump straight in. This one's quite a juicy one, actually. Who is the most famous person in your phone book?
Wow. Got to be a confirmer.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes. What do you do in your spare time away from football? That's from Beverly.
Interesting. I do like to keep myself busy, so I just work a lot after football. Like to go to the cafeteria, sit
Nice.
on my own,
Yeah.
get my own space, do some work on my laptop.
What about your downtime? What do you do in your downtime? Do you like to read, watch a movie?
Yeah, I'm a movie guy.
Movie. What's your favourite movie?
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay, never seen it, but
Never
I'm
seen
sure
it.
it's fantastic.
It's an old one. It's a good one.
Who is the Gibraltarian you most look up to?
Lee Casiaro and Roy Cipollina.
Amazing.
Two Gibraltarian legends.
Legends. Very good. Chris Cooper would like to know, what do you think are the 3 best ever football boots?
Oof, interesting that. I'm not someone that cares much about football boots.
Okay.
So I've always played with what I got.
Yeah.
So I don't really know too much about football boots, but
You don't rely on the boots. You got the skill without them.
I would have to say Ronaldinho's boots.
Okay.
The white and gold.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he did a YouTube video on them and was the first one to get 1 million likes.
Nice. We'll find some pictures of those.
Yeah, you got to find them.
Yeah,
They're
we will.
quality. And I know that they're my brother's favourite boots.
Okay.
And I do like Ronaldo Fenomeno,
Yeah.
the old Ronaldo.
Yeah.
His boots, the one that he wears across his neck, the Nike ones. So.
Yeah. Cool. And one more. No,
Can't
just
give you-
2. Top 2. That's enough. That's a hard question. 3 best ever football boots.
Can't give you that one.
Okay, Philip would like to know, which of your international teammates do you think would fit in the best at Wycombe Wanderers?
Wow. That's a good question. Depends what we're looking for. Are we looking for
Up to you. You choose.
creativity, defensive guy? I think Liam Walker.
Liam
Liam
Walker.
Walker has a lefty of a wand
Okay.
and can find anyone, but so can Wingy. But
Okay, so
I
Liam,
think
we
Liam
might be
Walker.
coming for you.
Walker.
Wycombe Wanderers Gibraltar would like to know, aside from family and friends, what have you missed most since relocating from Gibraltar?
Food.
Food. What's your
Absolute
favourite food to eat?
Tapas.
Love tapas.
So here in UK, very sorry to say, the tapas isn't the best.
Okay, so we're going to have to
So
take a
I've
trip then.
had to find some restaurants where there are some very nice tapas spots.
Have you found a good tapas spot in Wycombe?
No.
Okay, sorry about
Sorry,
that, guys.
sorry, Wycombe.
Who would you... This is a good one. John Granville's long throw has said, who would you bite first if you were a mosquito?
Jasper.
Easy.
Easy, Jasper.
Why? Why Jasper?
Jasper.
Just want to irritate him.
Yeah, no, Jasper.
Just that's
Simple.
it, Jasper.
Jasper.
Okay. Andy would like to know, what's your favourite cheese?
Manchego.
Manchego cheese. Good choice.
Manchego with a little bit of ham, of jamón ibérico.
Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, lovely. Very
Little
nice.
bit of breadsticks. Beautiful.
Got a feast going on here.
Yeah, tapas.
Tapas, yeah. Leo would like to know, if you could fly but only 1 metre off the ground, or you could be invisible but only for 1 minute, which would you choose?
Fly for 1 minute off the ground forever.
So fly, I think, forever but only 1 metre off the ground, or be invisible but only for 1 minute.
Oh, I think I'll fly.
I'd fly, just hover everywhere.
Fly, yeah, that's fine.
That's well fun.
Wouldn't be tired.
What a surreal show this is this week. Tjay Barr, you can hear more from him with No Meat, No Blues. Look out for the full version of that on Wycombe Wanderers social media over the weekend. I think I've been crying. Finally, Phil's been chatting to Matt Bloomfield ahead of course, the Good Friday trip to Ipswich and Matt's former club, of course.
It's a club that I grew up supporting. I came through the system there, made one appearance for the first team, which I was extremely proud of. But I'm employed as a manager of this football club, and I have to take the emotion out of it because we've got a job to do. We have to focus on that job, and we can't get distracted by anything else.
Team very much in form. 7 wins on the bounce. They look like they've fallen away from the top 2, but they are now absolutely desperate for the 3 points as well, as were MK last week for different reasons. It's that time of year, isn't it?
It most certainly is. I thought, masterstroke by them with their recruitment in January. They obviously, realised that they needed to strengthen at the top end of the pitch, and they did. Made some really good signings, and so we know that they're obviously a good team in good form. But we've played really well recently. I thought the Barnsley game was a particularly good performance from us. We've had bits and pieces of other games where we feel like we've been in good form as well, and we have to keep putting those performances back to back, and the results will follow. So yeah, we know the strengths of Ipswich. We also know the strengths of ourselves. We've been working on those this week, and we have to be focused on the job in hand.
You've talked about the performances and the chances created and stuff. It feels like there's a big result in the system. Wouldn't it be great if it was at Portman Road?
Of course, yeah. I think we have to we have to be really focused on what we're doing, Phil. I think we have to try and not let outside noise or outside emotion of the situation get in our way. Of course we can play on that emotion at times because it's an exciting spell for us as a football club and for us as a group. We're really excited by what might happen over the next little while, but we have to keep those emotions in check and make sure we prepare properly. And we're looking forward to the game, and we want to make sure we get good results for ourselves and our supporters, because they've been following us in big numbers recently, as they have done for many years at this club, and we want to make sure we give them something to shout about on Friday.
You mentioned the transfer window. This league has got everyone, isn't it? It's got the big guns. It's got teams scrapping down the bottom on small budgets too. Is there ever an envious glance at what Ipswich or Sheffield Wednesday can do in those windows?
Most certainly not. Absolutely not. I'm really proud of us as a football club. I think I'm lucky enough to have lived through some tougher times than this, where we literally didn't have any money to go and sign anybody, and we've always been scrapping around. We're now in, this is great times for us as a football club. To be fighting at the top end of League One is something that shouldn't be taken for granted, because we know where we've been before. So most certainly not. We're really proud of what we have in the building, who we have in the building, what we are as a football club, and we have to retain those values and strengths, because that's who we are and that's what we stand for. So most certainly not. I respect everything that Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich those guys can go and do, but we have to be really proud of what we can go and do and who we are and how we're going to approach the game.
I can't speak on behalf of Sheffield Wednesday or Ipswich, but I'm sure they'd love a player like Josh Scowen in their team. But Wycombe Wanderers have him in their side, and they'll have him in their side next season as well. Great news this week.
Yeah, incredible news. It was only last week at the supporters' evening that people kept reminding me that we needed to get him signed up. So those talks are already ongoing, and we're obviously really pleased that he's committed his future here. Josh is, a big player for this football club. Obviously, came through the system here himself, went on to have a real good career before he came back. We feel like he's in his prime. We feel like he's a massive influence both on and off the pitch. He doesn't take much managing. He gets on with his work. He's self-motivated. He does what he needs to do, and we're really pleased that he's going to continue that career with us.
And hot on the heels of Joe Jacobson, Josh Scowen, David Wheeler and Jack Grimmer as well, two other big important players to secure down for next season.
Yeah, big players and big personalities, a big part of what's the fundamentals of our football club, the team culture, the team ethos. Those guys have been here through the last few years, which we've had some really good success. They know what it takes to be a Wycombe Wanderers player and what we stand for. So, like I say, I think that's really important business. JJ, Joshy, Jack and Wills, and we're hoping to have some more news to announce soon.
Well, hopefully with Easter, with results as well coming to announce those around. Back at home on Monday as well. Easter fixtures, a bit like Christmas. It's not a do or die for the season, but you could be in a much better place come next Tuesday.
Of course, yeah. I think we have to be mindful of the fact that you can build these results up to be more than what they are, but also we don't want to downplay the importance of them. We know that it's an important weekend. We know that obviously the next 7 games can have massive effects for us, and we have to make sure that we're ready for it. We have to prepare physically and mentally for the task in hand and the excitement of the situation, and make sure we're ready to go. So we've got an exciting weekend ahead, and we're looking forward to it.
2 games, one team at the top, one team very much at the bottom, but that team at the bottom did beat Sheffield Wednesday the other week, which I thought was a result that completely sums up League One.
I was about to say the same thing. It can sum it up. I think especially at this time of year, maybe you get into those winter months and the form kind of does go with the top and the bottom, but as soon as you hit the spring, mate, I think you get some surprising results in terms of people at the top and the bottom, and I don't think you can underestimate any challenge in this league. It's a really competitive league, and I think the results recently have showed that. So we need to make sure we're ready for every possibility, every eventuality, and make sure we're ready for the challenges in front of us.
We've spoken in the past about walking out the tunnel at Portman Road, a special place to you, but you're doing it now as a manager. Would that add any gravitas to that situation?
I think it's amazing for my family to come and they've supported me since I was 12 years old, joining the Centre of Excellence as it was at Ipswich, that then became the academy, and then through the highs and lows of a long career here at Wycombe Wanderers. And so for those guys to be able to stand and watch, I hope they're proud, and I hope they enjoy it. I know they will be. But for me, mate, I don't take any enjoyment unless we get a positive result. So all my focus and all my attention, all my energy has to be on making sure I do that, because I'm extremely proud to be manager of this football club, and I want to do it the best I possibly can.